Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Museum Munchkins. I'm Mr. Nick, and today we are going to be talking all about caribou, also known as reindeer. And we're going to start our day today by singing a reindeer song, if you'd like to stand up on your feet. So this song is called the Reindeer Pokey. So have you ever been at a party and danced the hokey pokey? Well, today we're going to be doing the reindeer pokey, so we're going to pretend that we're reindeer. So for this song, we're going to need some antlers. Can you make some antlers with your fingers like this? We're going to need some antlers, and we're going to need some hooves, so we can make some hooves with our hands, kind of curl our fingers back and make some hooves. We're going to need a fluffy tail, so we can make a fluffy tail with our hand. And we need our nose. Luckily, we already have one of those, so we don't have to make one up with our hands. And our whole body we're going to do a dance with. So this song, we're going to put our antlers in and our antlers out and our antlers in and then shake them all about. And we're going to do that with all of our different reindeer parts. Are you ready to dance the reindeer pokey? All right, well, let's try it out. Here we go. You have your antlers ready? Because you put your antlers in, you put your antlers out, you put your antlers in, and you shake them all about. Very good. You do the reindeer pokey and you turn yourself around. Can you spin in a circle? That's what it's all about. Very good. Now let's get our hooves ready. You put your hooves in, you put your hooves out, you put your hooves in, and you shake them all about. You do the reindeer pokey and you turn yourself around. That's what it's all about. Very good. Now let's get our fluffy tails. You put your fluffy tail in, you put your fluffy tail out, you put your fluffy tail in, and you shake it all about. You do the reindeer pokey and you turn yourself around. That's what it's all about. Very good. Now our nose, are you ready? You put your nose in, you put your nose out, you put your nose in, and you shake it all about. You do the reindeer pokey and you turn yourself around. That's what it's all about. Now it's time for our whole reindeer body. Are you ready? You put your reindeer body in, you put your reindeer body out, put your reindeer body in and shake it all about. You do the reindeer pokey and you turn yourself around. That's what it's all about. Excellent job being reindeer in the reindeer pokey. I hope you guys had fun singing that song with me. Now it's time. I'm going to set my guitar down because we're going to go upstairs into our exhibit so we can see our reindeer and our caribou and talk all about them and learn all about caribou today. So let's set this down so we can head upstairs. All right, we're upstairs in From Curiosity to Science to take a look at our caribou. Now, our caribou are also known as reindeer in other parts of the world, but here in North America, we call them caribou. And they are found all around the world, in the northern part of the world, here in North America, in Northern Europe, and in Northern Asia and Siberia. So we find them all over our planet. Like I said, the rest of the world calls them reindeer, but here in North America, we call them caribou, which is actually comes from a French word, a French-Canadian word, caribou, which comes from an Algonquin word, an American Indian word, which means snow shoveler. And that actually is because of how they use their paws to brush away the snow and uncover their food during the winter. Now, even though there is only one species of reindeer on our planet, there are actually 15 different subspecies. So just sort of a little bit like we have, there's only one species of dog, but there's dogs of all sorts of shapes and sizes. There are 15 different kinds of reindeer that live on our planet. And they're separated usually by where they live or even what herd they belong to. For example, the Taimyr herd of reindeer in Siberia is the largest herd of reindeer in the world. It might be the largest herd of any mammal in the world, that with nearly 1 million reindeer in just one single herd. That's a pretty big herd of animals. Now, caribou are pretty large. You might not be able to tell just how big they are from them being up there on the wall and us taking a look at them, but they are pretty big animals. The girl reindeers can grow to be up to 6.5 feet long and weigh up to 250 pounds, and the boys can grow up to 7 feet long and weigh up to 400 pounds. And in fact, they actually have even found reindeer who weigh as much as 700 pounds. That is a really, really big animal, and they usually stand about 3 feet to 5 feet at their shoulders. So they can be pretty big. And interestingly, caribou or reindeer are the only type of deer where the boys and the girls both grow antlers every single year. The boys' antlers, though, are usually a lot bigger and grow a lot faster, and they shed the velvet on their antlers when they grow them a lot sooner than the girls do too. Now, caribou have a lot of really amazing adaptations that help them to survive in their environment where they live. Can you help me say that word again? Adaptation? How about let's try it one more time. Adaptations. So adaptations are things about an animal that help it to survive in its environment, and caribou have a lot of them. So their fur is made of 2 different layers. So underneath, they have a really thick, dense, warm, cozy layer of fur that helps to keep their body nice and warm in the cold areas where they live. And then on the top of that, their outer layer is actually made of hollow, air-filled hairs. And that actually helps them when they need to go in the water and swim from place to place, or maybe across a river or across a lake to get to different places where they need to go, or to get to more food. And that the air in their hair actually makes them float. They actually float a lot higher in the water than other animals, so it helps them float and keep them nice and dry while they're swimming, almost like they have built-in floaties or a built-in lifeguard or a life jacket when they're swimming. I think that's pretty interesting. And throughout the year, because they live way up north where the temperature and the climate changes very drastically, or the weather changes very drastically throughout the year, their feet actually change throughout the year. So in the winter, when it's really cold and there's lots of snow, the pads on the bottom of their feet shrink up and get smaller and harder so that more of their hooves touch the ground, and that helps them so they don't slip around on the ice and snow. And also, making those hooves touch the ground more makes it easier for them to dig up the food that they like to eat. But in the summer, when all that water has melted, all that snow has melted, and the ground is kind of soft and squishy, then the pad on the bottom of their feet grows and gets really big and spongy and soft, and that helps them to grip the squishy, soft ground in the areas where they live too, so they don't slip around or squish it all over the mud. Pretty interesting, right? Now, they are herbivores. Caribou are herbivores, which means that they eat mostly plants. And they eat lots of different plants they find in their environments, like willows and birches and sedges and grasses. But actually, a reindeer's favorite food are lichens, in particular, the reindeer lichen. And in fact, they are the only large animal or only large mammal on our planet that's even able to eat lichens like the reindeer lichen. They have a special stomach that helps them to digest it like no other animal can. So they have this special food that they love to eat, that they're the only ones who are able to eat it. That's pretty great, I think. So there's a special type of food in their environment that's just for them, which I think is really cool. Now, caribou are pretty amazing animals, and I brought a story today about one caribou or reindeer who's actually very excited and very proud to be a reindeer. So let's head back to our classroom so we can check it out. All right, today's story is I'm a Reindeer by Mallory C. Lower and illustrated by Joey Chu. I'm a deer, but not just any deer. I'm a reindeer! Reindeer are strong as soon as they are born. I could run before I was 2 hours old. We come in lots of different colors and sizes, but most of us have thick bodies and necks, extra big hooves, and square noses. Did you know that another word for reindeer is caribou? It's true. I'm part of a herd with thousands of other reindeer. My herd lives in Canada. We travel far to find food. We migrate more than 3,000 miles a year. That's further than any other mammal. In the summertime, the pads of my hooves are soft, so I can walk on the wet earth. In the wintertime, my hooves are hard, so I can break the ice and find food. I'm a reindeer! My fur is very special. I have an outer layer of fur that is so light it floats. It almost keeps out water, so that my thicker inner layers of fur stay dry even when I'm swimming in icy water. Brrr. In the summer, I shed my winter fur. This keeps me comfortable in the warm weather. I am related to other deer. Can you see the differences? Ooh, there are lots of differences between all these different deer. Some have spots, and some have big round antlers, and some have long pointy antlers. Some are tall, some are small. Reindeer comes from an Old Norse word meaning horned animal. Deer's horns are called antlers, and both female and male reindeer get them. We're reindeer! About 100 years ago, a man named Clement C. Moore wrote a poem called A Visit from St. Nicholas, in which reindeer help pull Santa's sleigh. Many children think they have heard reindeer hoofbeats on their roof on Christmas Eve. Have you? Either way, reindeer are amazing. I should know. I'm a reindeer! The end. Hi everyone, so today we are going to be making like a snowy caribou picture with just a few supplies. So we're going to need some Q-tips, a piece of black paper here to make our nose, a piece of white paper or gray paper or any kind of like lighter colored paper. That's going to be our caribou's head. A piece of brown paper. So this is going to be I'm going to use for make my antlers. And then I've got this bigger piece of paper that we're going to build everything on top of and paint our snowy day on top of too. So the first thing first is I'm going to need to make my caribou head and my antlers. So these are actually both techniques that if you've been watching Munchkins for a while, you've seen us do before for my caribou head because they have kind of long, rounded snouts. What I thought it would be fun to do is I have a really easy thing with me right now that I could use to make a caribou head shape. I've got my shoe. So I'm going to take my shoe and I'm going to draw a line all the way around it, and that's going to be my caribou's head. Let's trace all the way around here. So now I've got my caribou head shape. It's kind of like a moose head shape too, but I'm going to use it as a caribou. So, and then we can cut out our caribou head shape. I'm just going to cut right out along that line that I just drew when I traced my shoe. You can find art in all sorts of different things, can't you, if you're just looking? But you could find inspiration to make all sorts of different crafts. All right, there we go. So I've got my caribou head like this. And now I need to make some antlers for my caribou. So I'm going to use this other piece to do that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to trace my hand. And my hand will be my antlers. So I'm going to put my hand down on this piece of paper and trace all the way around it. Just like this. There we go. And now I'm going to cut out my hand that I traced. And this is going to be my caribou's antlers. So they don't look exactly like a caribou's antlers because their antlers are really long with only like kind of the bumpy parts at the very end of them. But that's okay. This will still look pretty good, I think, to be a little caribou or a reindeer's antlers. And then once I have both of these pieces cut out, I can glue them onto my picture, onto my big piece of brown paper. That's one more finger to cut out, and it's okay, I don't have to get right on the line. I'm just getting kind of close to the line. Like that. All right, I've got that all cut out. Now I can take my glue stick and I'm going to put a little bit of glue all over the back of this caribou's head. And let's stick that down. Whoop, just like that. And then I'm going to take some more glue and put it on my hand here. Some glue up each of my fingers. And let's stick that on top of my caribou's head, just like this. There we go. Now the two colors I chose are pretty close to each other, but that's okay. This brown color I chose for the back, and then the brown I'm using for the antlers. You could use a big piece of blue paper or green paper. Oh, and I need to also cut out a little nose for my reindeer too. There we go. Let's put some glue on that one and stick that right there. Boop. Now it's got its nose. Perfect. I could, if I had some extra paper too, or an extra piece of black paper, I could use that to make an eye, or I could just draw an eyeball like this. There's my reindeer eyeball. Perfect. And now comes a really fun part. So I've got my reindeer, but now I need to make it look like it's snowing around it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some white paint, give it a little shake, put some on my tray, and I'm going to use my Q-tips as my paintbrush. So now I can make just little dots so it looks like it was snowing where my reindeer is. I could put a lot of dots if I want to make it look like it's snowing really hard. Or I could put just a few dots. I'm not going to put any dots on his antlers though. Maybe if I put them around his antlers, it'll help his antlers stick out a little bit better. There we go, a nice snowy reindeer or caribou. Perfect. And I could even draw some snowflake shapes if I wanted to with my Q-tip, but I think I'm just going to make little white dots, like little white snowflakes floating down around my caribou. Perfect. There we go. Ooh, let's put some underneath him too. Just a few little dots there. All right, I think this is just about done. What do you think? Like I said, you could make a really snowy day. You could make a whole big family of caribou if you wanted to with this activity. I'm just going to make my one, but there we go. I've got my caribou snowy day picture, and now I just need to let it dry, and then I can find a cool place to hang it up. So I hope you guys all had such a good time learning about caribou and reindeer today with Museum Munchkins. If you guys make a reindeer picture too, we would love to see it. You can share it with us on Facebook at Kenosha Public Museum or on Instagram, and you can tag us Kenosha Public Museum so we can see your awesome reindeer, caribou, snowy day pictures. And I hope that you join us next week when we'll be learning about something else completely new.